Sony just announced a 60-minute state of play dropping tomorrow, Thursday, February 12th. Now, for context, the last major state of play was back in September, and it was only 35 minutes long, and we still got a dozen new reveals, the first real look at Wolverine, and a bunch of release dates. So why does this one need to be almost twice as long? Is Sony sitting on something massive? Or are we about to watch an hour-long sales pitch for games nobody asked for? If you're new here, welcome. I'm Sav. This is Sav Plus. On this channel, we cover all things gaming. So if you're interested in this kind of content, don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future videos. All right, let's get straight into it. All right, so let's get started with games that are pretty much guaranteed to show up. Now, these are titles that are either weeks from launch or directly tied to Sony's marketing. So it would be weird if they weren't there. Marathon launches March 5th, just 3 weeks after this show, and Sony didn't spend $3.6 billion on Bungie not to give their next game a spotlight. It's a $40 extraction shooter on PS5, Xbox, and PC, with an open preview weekend confirmed just before launch. So expect beta dates or one final marketing push. And it's also worth mentioning that Bungie is facing an uphill battle considering the drama surrounding this game's development. Let's just hope it doesn't follow in Concord's footsteps. Sony has been a bit miss or miss on the multiplayer games it's backed lately. Soros drops April 30th, and this is the one I want to put on your radar if it's not already there. This is from Housemarque, the studio behind Returnal. Now, if you've played Returnal, you already know. That game came out of nowhere and ended up being one of the best PS5 exclusives to date, and Soros is their follow-up. It's an action survival game with that same bullet hell insanity that Housemarque is known for, and it's a PS5 exclusive. We're almost definitely getting a new trailer or extended gameplay here, and honestly, I can't wait to see more. Resident Evil Requiem comes out February 27th. That's 2 weeks after the show. Leon's back, he's got a hatchet now, and from what we've seen so far, the combat looks brutal. But what I'm really watching for here is a demo. Capcom loves doing this. They dropped demos at these events for Village and the Resident Evil 4 remake, and both times it got people so hyped, the game basically sold itself before launch day. I'd be surprised if they don't do the same thing here. Now, beyond the games that are basically locked in, there are a few that aren't officially confirmed for the show, but the evidence is strong enough that I'd expect to see some of them. Now, of course, Marvel's Wolverine is the big one. Insomniac showed us the first real look back in September, and it did not hold back. This game is violent. And what Insomniac pulled off with Spider-Man, seeing them take on a character like Logan, is exciting for a lot of reasons. Now, if you didn't know, a PlayStation Store listing in Mexico leaked a release window of sometime between July and September. So a date reveal at this show would make a lot of sense timing-wise, but if they push this thing back into fall 2026, that puts Wolverine uncomfortably close to GTA 6, and ain't nobody want to launch next to that. So Sony might hold the release date for a summer event and just give us a new trailer on Thursday. Either way, pay attention to whether they commit to a date or stay vague. That'll tell you a lot. Horizon Hunter's Gathering got announced suspiciously close to this showcase. It's a co-op game set in the Horizon world. Think Monster Hunter, but with robot dinosaurs. And I already know what some of you are thinking. Another multiplayer game? Did they learn nothing? People have watched Sony chase multiplayer trends and stumble more than once now. But I'd say give this one a chance before completely writing it off. Monster Hunter's been proving for almost 20 years that co-op games can have real depth. The concept isn't the problem. It really just comes down to whether or not they execute. And we'll know more on Thursday. All right, so let's talk about the rumors. And I want to be clear, none of this is confirmed, but some of it has enough credible people backing it that I'd be surprised if none of it shows up. God of War 2.5D Metroidvania. This might be my favorite rumor on the entire list. Multiple credible insiders have confirmed this game exists. It's a side-scrolling Metroidvania prequel where you play as a young Kratos in Greece. Apparently it's inspired by Blasphemous, which if you've played that game, you know is a wild reference point. And I just love this idea, taking God of War and stripping it down to something smaller and more focused, telling a story about Kratos before everything went wrong. And if it shows up on Thursday, it's gonna be a moment that everyone talks about. Devil May Cry 6 has been floating around thanks to a leaker on X. I really want this to be real. DMC5 is one of the best action games ever made, and the Netflix series kept the franchise in people's heads. But the big insiders haven't backed this one up yet, so I'm not getting my hopes up until I see it with my own eyes. And then there's Intergalactic: The Heretic Prophet, and that's Naughty Dog's first new IP in over a decade. It was revealed at the 2024 Game Awards and has been completely silent since. It's reportedly not coming out in 2026, but a first look at gameplay with a 2027 date, that's exciting and possible. And if Sony wants a really big mic drop moment to close the show out, that's how you do it. Now for the wild card, and this is a big one. I still have to pause every time I say this out loud. There are indeed reports of a full remake of Halo Combat Evolved being built from the ground up on Unreal Engine 5. I know, New visuals, new missions, 4-player co-op, crossplay, and it's coming to PlayStation, which I can't even wrap my head around. Master Chief on a PlayStation? It's weird. And it's reportedly targeting summer of 2026. Now, 5 years ago, you'd get laughed out of any forum for even suggesting this, but that's just where the industry is right now. Xbox has already brought Fable and Forza to PS5, and if Halo shows up at this state of play, that would be a big statement about where console gaming is headed. And whether that excites you or stresses you out probably depends on how much console wars still mean to you. Me, I just want to play good games. And a rebuilt Halo Combat Evolved with co-op sounds like a lot of fun. Now we need to talk about GTA 6 because I know it's the first thing that half of you thought of when you saw this announcement. Trust me, I know. Every single showcase, the live chat is just a wall of GTA 6 from the second the stream starts. And I get it. A GTA 6 moment at a PlayStation show would be insane. It would instantly steal the entire conversation and probably be the only thing anyone talks about afterward. And it makes total sense that people are hoping that Sony's deal means some kind of exclusive look. And I hate to burst your bubble, but realistically, it's still way too early. We've already had massive leaks, 2 official trailers, and around 70 or so screenshots floating around. At this point, a tiny teaser or logo sting really doesn't move the needle any more than it already has, and the only thing that would really make sense now at this point is a proper gameplay showcase or a full third trailer, and Rockstar is not going to burn something that big this far out. They've already said the real marketing campaign kicks off this summer. They're not handing that moment off to Sony on a random Thursday in February. When GTA 6 gets a big reveal, it'll be on Rockstar's terms. That's just how they operate. So enjoy the state of play for what it is. GTA 6's time is coming, just not Thursday. And speaking of, if you want to stay locked in on everything GTA 6, I cover all of it over on my other channel, and the link is in the description. We just had some huge GTA 6 news drop, so go check out that video after this one. The link for that is also in the description. So stepping back from the individual games for a second, here's the thing that nobody's really saying out loud. The state of play is really coming down to what Sony decides to prioritize, because right now, Sony is kind of at a crossroads. On one hand, you've got the stuff that made PlayStation what it is, with God of War, The Last of Us, Spider-Man, Horizon, story-driven single-player games that an entire generation of players grew up on. That's what PlayStation exclusive means to most people. And on the other hand, you've got the business side pushing hard into multiplayer and live service games. They bought Bungie for billions, they greenlit Concord, which launched, flopped, and got shut down in 2 weeks. And now they're making a multiplayer Horizon game. You can see why people are a little nervous. So what Sony decides to emphasize on Thursday really matters for the future of the console. If this show leads with single-player games and real gameplay, concrete dates, and maybe that God of War reveal, they can turn this whole narrative around. If it's an hour of live service pitches and vague promises, it's going to be a rough weekend for whoever runs PlayStation social media. All right, that's the full breakdown. Thursday, February 12th, 5 p.m. Eastern, I'll be watching live, and I have a full reaction after the show. Subscribe so you don't miss it. But I want to hear from you guys. What's the one thing that makes this show a 10 out of 10 for you? Is it the new God of War game, a date for Wolverine, Halo on PlayStation, or are you just the person in every live chat asking for the Bloodborne remake that we all know isn't coming but collectively refuse to stop manifesting? Yeah, me too. Thank you guys so much for watching. Spank the like button like it has jiggle physics, and I'll see you guys on the next one.
Dusk till dawn, I turn my speakers on. Why they wanna play with the king? I told them meet LeBron. There's darkness in my city, wrong moves, and you won't see the sun. They be talking loud, but never been where the creatures hunt and bleed for this dream. So why your eyes?